Vault Veritas SCP Files. Episode 26 Shadowplay.
I don't think so. Turn that off.
Nah. Did I ever give you the impression you had any authority over me, Damien?
Turn it off, or I will leave.
Then leave. Well?
How did you do it?
What happened to you leaving?
How did you turn SCP-575 against the Chaos Insurgency? The last time you interacted with it was when it stabbed you. How the hell did you influence it after that?
I'm a man of many talents.
I see. So that's how it's going to be. I thought we agreed to meet so we could talk, but I see you only want to gloat. Tell me, is this a waste of my time?
Answers aren't free, Damien.
If you're looking for a promise that we won't attack, you can save your breath.
No, of course not. You're the Chaos Insurgency. Attacking our sites is about half of what you people do. Besides, I wouldn't trust your promises as far as I could throw them.
Then what exactly are you after?
Answers. I'll swap you. Truth for truth.
That's next to meaningless, since neither of us trusts the other.
And yet, I still find myself curious enough to try.
You first, then.
You may have had the upper hand before, sitting proud in your nest of insurgents and corrupted anomalies. But what makes you think you're in any position of authority here? I will go first, but know that that is by choice. I'm about as threatened by you as I am by an ant. So, you want to know how I influenced SCP-575. After you cued it to stab me and sent me limping back out into the street, I reflected on all that I'd seen. About how utterly reckless and foolish you really are for keeping anomalies like that just hanging around, unsecured. Sure, you found some way to control them, to keep them on a leash and answer your beck and call. But you're not treating them as allies. And I imagine the ones you control rather wish you harm in the end. So all it takes is just a little push. A little extra anomalous energy to give them that motivation to act. After that, I didn't influence or direct it at all. It chose to attack you all of its own volition. And who could blame it, after all you must have done to leash it in the first place?
That doesn't tell me how. You continue to deflect. You give half-truths, but that doesn't tell me how you gave it that little extra push.
Aw, did the attack not give it away? Or were you simply not observant?
There wasn't anything to observe. We weren't even looking at the damn thing.
Go on.
Fine. But I expect proper answers afterwards.
Agreed.
As soon as you were out the door, the debate began as to whether or not we should relocate. A group of my underlings were certain that you'd spill our location the moment you reached the nearest Foundation site, and they were desperate to leave and disappear back into the shadows. They fully expected an MTF team to come barging through the door, ready to take us down. Fools. I knew better. I knew that you understood the ramifications of such an action, and that you wouldn't dare. After all, we still had SCP-4566, equipped with your name, awaiting the command to fictionalize you and neutralize all that pompous swagger. Even though to do so would have been quite a loss.
I knew you recognized that.
I still do. Didn't stop me from keeping my hand over the trigger, though. My women and men could complain, but at the end of the day, I'm the one in control. I'm the Gamma Class Commander, and my word is final. So we remained in the building, armed and ready to fight back if needed. Between our weapons and 575 on lookout, ready to tear apart any MTF team who dare to try and enter, we were secure enough to wait for your next move.
It was quite a spectacular move, you have to admit.
That it was. It was just 2 days after you left. I was in the middle of some intricate preparations.
For the attack on Site 2024, I'm sure.
For something you need not worry yourself over. I had sent one of my lesser grunts down to feed 575, right on its normal schedule. He'd no sooner walked down the stairs when the screams started. The response was instant. My insurgents are well trained. Believing it to be your Foundation, they flooded my central office instantly. Geared with guns, containment nets, tactical shields, and a rather impressive arsenal of grenades, ranging from fragmentation to electromagnetic pulse. I was convinced we were prepared for anything you could send at us. The EMP grenades were homemade, specially designed to disable any electronic devices your MTF are equipped with, while the containment nets were prepared to ensnare any agents, or anomalies, if you Foundation types had the guts to use them. Didn't do shit to SCP-575, though. My agents began to leave the central room and enter the darkness of the stairwell landing, spreading out to form an ambush. The moment they left the faint light of the central hub was the moment it attacked. I recognized the sound of bludgeoning instantly. It must have solidified an appendage, using it to smash through the bones of my people who had the misfortune to be at the front of the mass. Into the light! I ordered them quickly, and they turned in a stampede. A tidal wave of bodies smashing against each other in an effort to squeeze through the door and back into the salvation of our candle, and the many dazzling lights on the electronic gear we had brought. Amidst the chaos of the surging bodies, one of my level-headed but utterly foolish operatives managed to pull a pin on his EMP grenade and toss it into the stairwell behind him and towards 575. A completely moronic gesture if he truly thought that would stop it from ripping through the people in the back of the swarm. The grenade hit the wooden floor of the hallway with a metallic clink that could barely be perceived over the din of bludgeoned death that echoed out over the rush of footsteps. And when it detonated, a faint blue wave of electromagnetic energy rippled quickly through the darkness. All around us, the buzz of our electronics fell silent, and all light, save for my one quivering candle, blinked out. The brief flash of dim light, though not bright enough to dispel 575, had been enough to seemingly stun it, as the sounds of bludgeoning and cracking bone fell momentarily silent. And of course, since 575 wasn't electronic in the slightest, it had no other effect. Without the lights from our electronics and lamps, I knew my agents were at more risk now than before the grenade had been thrown. And here were the survivors, just blinking idiotically at me through the candlelight's dance as though expecting me to save them from their own stupidity that had caused this in the first place. The thin circle of light I now held was not going to be enough to save them all. I knew the slaughter that was about to happen.
"Flashlights and candles out, fools!"
I barked at them. The second mad scramble started. People were rushing through their doors, scrabbling through their desks in the darkness to find something to light. As my people disappeared to search, I took the momentary gap in the crowd to slowly walk into the hallway, bringing my circle of flickering protection with me, moving cautiously to avoid the flame blowing out. 575 had recovered enough to shy away as I stepped into the corridor. I could see its shadowy mass of shifting darkness at the edges of my light. It growled at me, low and guttural, and I growled back, shoving the candle in front of me and forcing it back down the hall, step by step. The hallway was filled with beaten and ravaged bodies. The blood streaked across every wall, and it even splattered onto the ceiling, dripping down in gooey splats that threatened my little candle. I held a hand over it protectively and stepped cautiously over the limbs and ruined figures that littered the floor, continuing to beat back the predatory darkness in an agonizingly slow crawl.
Impressive. Holding it at bay with nothing but a candle? Truly brave.
Brave and brilliant. I gave my agents as much time as I could for them to regroup and find their own light sources. 575 may be deadly in the dark, but it isn't exactly intelligent. Humankind's brilliance will always win out over the pure, id-driven nature of the anomalies. And my approach worked well. Right up until it was backed into a corner of the upper stairwell landing.
You cornered a wild animal. I can't imagine it like that.
No, it didn't. As I backed it up further and further, it started to flatten one of its appendages into a long, thin wing, For a moment, I thought it only meant to hit me, which would have been quite pointless, as any appendage that entered the light would have been instantly vaporized. In the adrenaline of the moment, I didn't realize its true intention until mere moments before it acted.
It beat the wing towards your candle, blowing it out.
Unfortunately, yes.
And yet you still consider it unintelligent.
It was desperate. Still nothing more than a bundle of instincts.
A bundle of instincts that outsmarted you.
If it had, I wouldn't be here, would I? Realizing what it was going to do, I threw the still-lit candle at it, and turned to run down the stairwell, trying to flee towards the lights of the street lamps outside. The candle must have gone out during the flight, though, for I heard an angry hiss from right behind me as I flew down those stairs, 3 at a time. I knew my agents were once again at risk, but this time it was their own damn fault if they didn't have illumination. I had given them plenty of opportunity to find sources of light, and I wasn't about to let their incompetence get me killed. I could feel 575 following me as my feet hit the bones of its nest at the bottom of the stairwell. And what should I find? Just lying there, discarded on the floor?
My flare. The one I dropped after 575 stabbed me.
The best way to truly destroy it.
So, Damien, you're telling me that I am the only reason you survived?
I've been thinking it over, Niall. You left it there for me, didn't you? You knew you were about to release 575 on my people, but you must have wanted me to survive.
I fear you've given me too much credit, darling.
I fear I didn't give you enough. If I had, those men and women who perished in the stairwell would yet live. You've proven control over 575, and you've proven control over 4566 as well.
So you did try to fictionalize me then?
The moment we got our electronics up and running again.
Even though I saved you by leaving my flare?
It hardly made up for the agents you killed through 575. So imagine my surprise when I discovered the 4566's fictionalization process didn't take. How did you manage to evade it?
It's as you said, by controlling the anomalies.
You've proven adept at that. Wresting control of an anomaly away from the Chaos Insurgency. Not just anyone can do that.
What can I say? I'm truly spectacular in every way.
Indeed. And I am prepared to offer you a position at my level. You can skip all the legwork and become a Gamma-class commander in the Insurgency. Have your own squad. Have your pick of anomalies to weaponize. It's the same offer I made before. Surely you can appreciate the freedom that would give you. I hear the Foundation rewarded your bravery and loyalty with a 3-week-long stint chained to a hospital bed and awaiting a possible insurrection charge and subsequent execution. Why continue working for them after that? There's so much more you could accomplish with us.
It's tempting, I will admit. Very tempting. What about Mary?
I suppose we could find a place for him too. Though I hardly see why you'd need him around with the other perks that your new position would offer.
I will not be joining without him. I also have another question first then. Two, in fact.
No, not yet. First, tell me how you controlled them. It's your turn to speak.
Very well. You're right. It is my turn. And you've been more than generous with the information you've offered. We have a bit of a special anomaly. One which we're still studying, which we don't fully understand. It's fickle. Sometimes it can sedate anomalies, sometimes it triggers extreme aggression in them. I brought it with me that day we first met, as part of my gear set. I was pretty sure you wouldn't realize what it was if you somehow had managed to take it from me. And you let me get into close enough proximity to both anomalies to make good use of it.
I see. So it sedated 4566 and triggered 575.
In a delayed way, it would seem. Not quite according to plan. We're still working out the kinks.
Interesting. Do you have it on you now?
Now why would I bring it here? The whole point of meeting out in the open like this is to reduce the chances that either of us brought along something or someone dangerous.
Fair enough. Interesting. All right. Your turn. Your 2 questions.
How did you get 4566 from Site 23 without anyone realizing?
That's quite a loaded question. No, I will not be giving away how exactly we play the game of information. All will be revealed when you take your place among our ranks.
And you say I deflect. Fine. I suppose it matters little now anyway. The other question then. Did you intend to kill Mary in the warehouse?
He's alive, isn't he?
That really doesn't answer the question.
You know the answer already. If Mary had died, you never would have joined. Though why, I do not understand. Surely someone like you has much better options at your disposal.
Watch your tongue.
Fine. Until you realize that for yourself, you can bring along your minion plaything. I imagine he'll follow suit and defect if you do.
That tone is not any better. You do well to treat him with respect, or I will reconsider.
So sensitive. All right. I'll watch my language. Do think over the offer, though, won't you? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you will. Well, thanks for the pleasant conversation. Perhaps I'll seek you out one more time to hear your answer. But like I said before, choose quickly, my dear.
There's not much I can do with this tape other than hold it for my own personal record. But I still want it recorded that I did not drop that flare for Damien's use. One tends to release whatever they're holding when they're impaled. It's rather fortunate he thinks otherwise, though. Perhaps Damien will hold off on the attack while I consider the newest offer. The more time I can buy the site, the better. I'm unsure if there's more information to glean from him, but I imagine he'll turn up at least once more before the attack. I'll need to be careful. He knows about my hospitalization, so it seems he has eyes inside Site 2024. I wonder who, if anyone, I can still trust.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Shadowplay is based on SCP-575 by Dr. Gears and SCP-4566 by Chewbacca from the SCP Wiki located at scpwiki.com/SCP-575 and scpwiki.com/SCP-4566. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 3.0 unported license. This episode featured D.R. Thompson as Niall Connors and Ethan Feigl as Damien. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please rate and review us. Email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Tweet us at Vault Veritas. Or for additional content, visit our Patreon. Thanks for listening.